1983. Nan, when you first came to Melbourne, where did you live?
Well, we lived in Coburg, Stephen, Hayes Road, just off Sydney Road, which was quite a settled area, well-settled area in those times, quite an old part of Coburg, I suppose.
And where did Pa work at this time? Did he have a job?
Pa was working at the Lincoln Mills as a dyer.
So that was just down the road?
Yes, it wasn't very far away, you see.
And how long did you live there for?
Oh, well, I think we were only there for about 12 months, I think, because Pa began to feel that the dyeing wasn't agreeing with him. He thought he'd like a change, wanted to get out of the dye house. It wasn't the best of work.
Working in the dye house wasn't agreeing with his health, is that what you mean?
No, he felt that, it wasn't the best and wanted to change. And a cousin of his, whose husband was working for a builder, offered him a job. So, just labouring on the buildings. And we moved over to Elstonwick then to be nearer the work. But he was only working a few months, and of course that was the start of the Depression, you see. The timber strike was the start of the Depression.
Yeah, that was the timber strike in 1926, was it?
Yes, and he wasn't working very long.
Well, it's very nice to be sitting here with my Nana and Pa, having a talk about the good old days.
Yes.
And the story I'd like to hear first, Pa, is the time that you threw the stone at the old Chinaman.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's when I was about the age of 12, I think it was. He was fossicking for gold with the old cradle, and about 50 or 60 yards away from the bridge where I was standing. And us young boys always had the idea of cheeking the poor old Chinaman. And so he's paddling away there, and I happened to pick up a nice smooth stone, and somebody says, I bet you can't hit him. So I picked up the stone. It was only a fluke, but I hit him right on the crust of the air and dropped him like a bird.
And how did you feel when you done that? Were you scared?
Oh, I felt terrible. I ran away. The bush was only about a mile away from our place. I run away in the bush and hid for some time till one of the boys come along and told me it was all right, so I was game enough to come out.
And who were your mates in those days? Pa, like the guys you used to go rabbiting with and that sort of thing?
Oh, there were several of them, but the main one was Lenny Parker.
Well, I haven't heard of Lenny before. I've heard about Jack Wagstaff. Who was Lenny?
Yeah. Oh, Lenny was practically our next door neighbour where we lived.
And one of the things that you've told me that always interested me was when you were talking about joining up for the war, when you decided to join up, you told me that you're all standing around outside the boot shop one Sunday morning. Can you tell us that story again?
Oh, yes. All the boys from the football team used to get around this little bootmaker's shop in a little country town. I suppose it'd be a dozen of 18 there, at times, and talk things over and have jokes and all that, and talk about one another. And anyhow, the war was on then, and we started talking about the war, and somebody says, "Oh, I think I'll go to the war." So anyhow, another one says, "I'll be with you, Jack," and it went on and on. And anyhow, we finished up with, I think it was 6. We all arranged to go into Castlemaine next on the Monday morning to be examined by the doctor to see whether we was fit or otherwise. So there was about half a dozen of us all went away together.
Well, Thank you, Pa. I'm going to speak to Nana for a moment now. Nana, I'd like you to tell us a story about where you lived when you were a little girl, and then when you moved to Castlemaine, how you came to meet Pa. Did you live in Mildura, have I got that right?
Oh, well, I was born in Campbell's Creek, Grant, and lived there till I was about 7. Because my father was a miner, you know, and of course things were very bad in the mines just at that time. They were really petering right out, and miners and their families were living on about 5 shillings a week. That was all the management could afford to pay them. Well, my father had a friend, a carpenter, who'd gone up to Mildura some time previously with his family, and I suppose they must have corresponded apparently, because he must have said that, you know, there were opportunities up there. So, because we all shifted to Mildura. Well, not to Mildura actually, we lived a long way out in the beginning.
What sort of house did you have?
Would you really like to know?
Yes.
Well, it was just a bag humpy, Grant, with a dirt floor.
What, Hessian bags over a...
Hessian bags and dirt floor with bags
and
down over
what
the
sort
dirt.
Of roof, Nan? Corrugated iron?
As far as I can remember, it would have been corrugated iron roofing.
And about what year would this be?
Oh, well, that would be in
Bit of arithmetic.
1909, Grant. I think it must have been towards the end of 1909 when we went up there, because I remember that the next year was the big flood, 1910. I think.
And you were living just out of Mildura?
Oh, a long way out, a good few miles out, at a place, a settlement actually, if you could call it so, which was, I think it was called Belair. And then we were only in that area for a few months, and the block owner that my father was working for, he bought another block in a different direction in Irimple. And we were still on the outskirts of that, and we had quite a ways to go to school. And what I particularly remember about that is the floods of 1910, because, like as you know, Mildura, there's no hills or anything there, only what we called hills were just sand hills, and even the sand hills were covered. And I can remember my father going on the owner's old mare to get bread and, you know, a few necessities like that, because the bacon, butcher and that, they weren't able to get around to the outlying places. Apparently it must have been a very, very severe flood. I don't know that I don't think they ever had another flood like in Mildura, not that I remember.
What was your school like, Nan? Was it a one-room school or?
Oh, it was quite a nice school. Our schools went in those days, Grant, and we were fortunate we had a very good teacher, because it wasn't a very big school.
Were all the grades in the one room?
No, there were 2 classrooms, the infants, and then I suppose from because they were classes in those days. I suppose from class 3 probably in the other room. Of course the headmaster with an assistant took all those classes, and there was a headmistress for the infant classes.
And
we had a sewing teacher, I remember.
Were the classes very strictly run?
Yes.
What time did you start school in the morning?
I think that we probably started at 9 o'clock, Grant, I think. You know, it's a bit hard for me to remember that sort of thing. But I think that 9 o'clock, because, you know, there weren't any not very many well-off people going to that school that I remember. There were a few prominent landowners, but the majority were just battling along. And I remember some very close friends of mine, their father had ran a dairy, and the two girls who were my friends, they had to get up and deliver milk before they came to school. Milk cans on bicycles, Grant.
They'd be very heavy, wouldn't they?
It was very hard work.
Well, on your father's side, Nan, like your father was a miner,
Yes.
and he was born in Australia.
He was born in Campbell's Creek.
How far back on his side can you trace your relatives? Do you know what his father did, or his grandfather?
No, his father, I think, his people came from Cornwall. They were Cornish. I think St Ives, as far as I can recollect.
And were they miners in Cornwall?
Yes, they must have been miners, because I think his father was a miner, as well as being
That'd
what
be
they called a lay preacher.
tin miner, and he was a lay preacher as well.
In Cornwall.
Yes.
Yes, I suppose it'd be tin mining, would it be? Was that the main?
Yes,
In
as far
Cornwall.
as I know, that's something we could check on later.
And on Dad's side, like on his father's side, well, they came from Cornwall too, as far as I know.
Oh, I'll ask him about that. Pa, on your side of the family, Nana was just saying that some of your relatives came from Cornwall. Would that be right? Where did your father come from?
Oh, Australian born, my father.
Where was he born?
Victoria. Victoria.
Yeah, Spring Gully, was it?
Spring Gully.
I'm not sure about that. Victoria, anyhow.
And he died in a mining accident.
Yes.
In what year was it?
Oh.
We asked this the other day, didn't we? 1900 about 1902 or something, didn't we?
February 1901.
February 1901, Nana says.
Place called Spring Gully, just a couple of miles from Friarstown.
Yes. And what was the cause of that accident? Was it an unexploded charge?
Yes, there was. My father was carrying on from another shift and just knocked off, and they'd been blasting and drilling, and there's one charge they never accounted for. And when my father's shift started to work, they hit it with a pick, and that caused the explosion, gelignite. And my father was killed outright, and there was another man by the name of Boots, I think his name was. He was very badly injured, and he survived with one leg and one arm.
They have to call him Boot then, wouldn't they?
Well,
only have one leg.
That was his name, Mr. Boots, as far as I remember.
And was your father the only one killed, Perce?
In the explosion, yes, I think so.
How old were you when that happened, Pa?
Oh, I'd be about the age of 4 or 5.
Yes. And can you remember, did your father ever say where his father came from and what he did?
No. Not that I remember, I was too young, you know.
Yes. Well, now we're recommencing our interview after lunch, and in the session before lunch we talked about the relatives on the father's side of each family, and this time I thought that we talk about the relatives on your mother's side. Now, they were Bennetts. Have I got that right?
No, on my mother's side, no. My mother's name was Bats. So you want to know on my mother's side?
Well, let's take your mother first. How do you spell Bats?
B-A-T-T-S.
Right. And your mother was from Shrewsbury?
She was born in Shrewsbury, Grant, in Shropshire, yes.
Good. And her father was a fitter and turner?
Yes, yes.
Good. And on your father's side, now they were Bennetts, but you were
Yes.
telling me before that the name wasn't always Bennett.
No, it was supposed to be corrupted from Benoit.
Which indicates that your relatives probably came over from France,
Yes,
perhaps Brittany
yes.
or somewhere like that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, apparently.
Now, Pa, your relatives on your mother's side had the name Menz,
Abby Ann said.
and her father was a publican at Hepburn.
Yeah, the old racecourse hotel.
Good. We've been to see that, haven't we? When you've come up.
Mm.
And was it during the First World War that they changed their name to Morse, or did they always keep the name Men's?
Oh, it's still men's.
Because wasn't there some worry about it being of German ancestry during the war?
No, the old grandfather was a German.
The grandfather on your mother's side,
Yes.
right? Do you know what part of Germany he came from,
No, I
or
couldn't
what
say.
he did? You just know that he was a German,
Yes.
right? Now,
And the mother, my mother's mother was French, I think.
yeah. So what we found out is your mother's mother was French, your father's father was German, and then they went to live in
Hepburn.
right? And on your side, your relatives were Cornish, but
Yes.
and on
Cornish
your mother's
and
side English, and on your
English.
father's side probably French.
Yes,
So
probably.
our ancestry altogether is a mixture of French,
Yes.
German, and English, which I guess is a pretty
The
good.
only thing that isn't into the Irish, I think.
Well, that's something to be thankful for.
That's as far as I know, Grant. I don't know. I think it's right though, but about German and French.
Yes.
Grandfather.
Yes. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was on the death of your father, you're only 4 or 5 years old, and it must have been a difficult struggle for your mother to bring up the family.
Yes, the youngest wasn't born till
5 weeks after.
5 weeks after his death. And there was 5 boys, including the baby.
What were their names?
Otto, Harold, Percy, Bertram, and Bill.
Right. And how did your mother make ends meet?
Well, in those days, there was no compensation for the husband being killed, or there was nothing like there is today, and it was only like relations helped out as much as they could, and people that always come to the point when they could do something or offer something would come along and help. And in those days there was what they called boarding out children. What do you call it? I did have the name, but I forgot it now.
Sort of sending into a foster home.
Yes, what do you call it? Boarded out children. Well, my mother wouldn't hear of that. There was a society, you know, in each big town, something like that. They'd come around and visit that and try to get your parents to board you out, and you'd get half a crown or 5 shillings or something, or 7 and 6 for if you took me, see, you know.
Oh yeah, to feed you and so on.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my mother wouldn't hear of that. She says, no, I'll work me fingers off to the bone before I put any of them on the state.
And so she took in washing and church cleaning.
Yeah, that was it. What I was trying to think of, a state.
Putting them on the state was the expression that was used in those days.
Yes. So she battled through with the aid of, outside help.
Mm.
Some people might have a suit or a pair of boots or clothes or something like that, it fit me, well, the neighbours would come along and offer it. Eh?
Because everybody know everybody else in a small town.
Yeah, well, they'd offer whatever they could, and I wore a lot of given clothes when I was young, and that used to help out a lot.
Would you say that you had a happy childhood?
Oh, as far as I was concerned, all I used to think about was playing.
Nan, what about you, Nee? What would you say has been the happiest period of your life? Could you pick out any one period, your childhood, the present time, when you were first married? What was the part of your life you've enjoyed the most so far?
Well, I don't know what I would say is the happiest period of my life. Granted, I think I had a happy enough childhood. We were relatively poor, but we seemed, we were happy.
Well, how many children were there in your family?
Oh, I only had 2 brothers. 3 brothers, at least.
What were their names?
Yes. Well, Phil was the one next to me. No, then Keith. And then when I was about 12 and a half, my mother had twin boys, but only one of them lived, and that's my brother Jack, who is still living now. And we were, well, as I say, we were poor as far as that goes, but we were happy
Do you
enough.
still have contact with Jack?
Oh, yes, I still keep in touch with Jack.
Where does he live?
He's in Western Australia, in
Oh,
Perth.
that's Uncle
yes.
Jack, right?
He's the only one left now.
What sort of things would a little girl play in those days?
Well,
Like you wouldn't have had a lot of toys, would you?
Making cubby houses. Played with our dolls and things like that, just the same as little girls all over, I suppose.
I know that you're very fond of reading. Was there much opportunity for you to read?
I was always very fond of reading. And
where would books come from in those days?
Well, fortunately, after we'd been living up in Mildura for some time, they have a Carnegie Library up there,
yes.
And my father used to always go, because he was always very fond of reading. And he used to take me into the library with him, and I was quite young, and from quite a young age I've always read extensively.
Now, a lot of people, when they read in their childhood, they have 1 or 2 books that were very important to them, that kind of they really enjoyed or really influenced them. Are there any books that stood out when you were young that you particularly remember?
I was very fond of reading. Enormous books they were, Grant, on Greek mythology and those sort of things. I'm afraid I don't remember too much about it now, but
at the time they were important to you.
That was the type of thing that I was very...
I suppose in those days we were closer to what they called a classical education than we are today, where Greek and Latin...
Yes, well, I suppose it was the case.
How far did you actually go at school then? What grade did you reach at school?
Oh, I went to 8th grade, Grant. And then I went to high school for just a very short period, but as I said, like those days, we didn't have very much money, and
so you went out to work
at the... didn't have the opportunity to have a higher education.
You would have liked to have gone on at school?
Had to go out to work.
Where did you work for your first job?
Oh, I worked at a cordial factory first for 2 and 6 a week.
And what did you have to do there?
Washing bottles mainly, then I progressed perhaps to filling them and corking them and wiring them down.
Right.
And I was there for about, I think for about 12 months.
Was this in Campbell's Creek?
No, no, well, we're sort of missing out, aren't we? This is up in Mildura, Grant, because I was only about 7 when we went to Mildura.
Right.
Then I went to the dried fruits factory to Sarnia, and stayed there till I was about 18 when I left and came down to Canberra to Castlemaine with a girlfriend. We just wanted to try out different scenes, I suppose. I can't say that we bettered ourselves because we went to the woolen mill there.
Yes.
And I stayed there till I was married.
And did you live with relatives or a boarding house? Or?
With my girl. Oh, well, we boarded with friends at first, and then my girlfriend's mother came down and we lived with her.
Yes.
In Castlemaine.
I see. Well, let's turn to you, Pa. This mate of yours, his name was Lenny Parker. Is that right?
Yeah, but wait on. What I should have said about us, the mother wouldn't do to leave us go on the state.
Yes.
You got all that?
Yes, I did. Now, Lenny Parker, I understand, used to go getting birds' eggs with him.
Well, that used to be our recreation of a Saturday morning, Sunday. It was all bush life. Unless we got belted to Sunday school, but we used to nick away with our dogs and after rabbits and bird life, you know. We'd walk probably from where we were nearly down to Guildford Plains, about, I suppose, a good 4 miles or something like that. And after birds and rabbits, and we'd have ferrets.
And did you ever have any arguments with Lenny about the birds' eggs?
Oh, yes, we used to have a lot of arguments. But soon as my arguments were over, we was back to normal. And off we go again.
Tell us about the argument you had when he had the birds' eggs in his mouth. What happened then?
Oh, there used to be a lot of shafts all around them diggings. Old miners used to dig a hole, say 10 or 12 feet, and trying to get down onto the bottom to look for gold. And of course they'd have to throw it away. There was nothing there, and they'd go along to another place. And they used to use a ladder or anything. They'd only have a windlass and bucket, and one would get down and dig the dirt and put in the bucket and wind it up, and then tip it out somewhere. And there was no gold there. Well, they'd just walk away and leave them shafts, wouldn't pull them in or anything.
So, made it pretty dangerous.
Yes, and the way they used to get up and down, they'd dig steps inside each side of the wall of the shafts.
Yeah.
You know, get up that way.
Yeah.
Or perhaps sometimes they might come up on the rope.
Yeah.
In the bucket. And of course the birds used to, swallows and that, there'd be a bit of a tunnel they might build down there, and we'd take it in turns of going down looking for birds' nests, and not only in the shafts, but there was tunnels there from here to the door over there, and the old miners had been tunnelling for gold, and the swallows used to build in there, and they used to just build I don't know whether you've seen a swallow's nest or not, but it's all made out of mud and just tacked to the roof. And you'd come across perhaps some sort of a bird, you knew it, but you didn't know its name, and it'd be a different variety of egg to what you'd been getting. And say there was 3 or 4 in the nest, the eggs, and Lenny'd come out with them, and he struck this find, and he reckons he's going to keep the lot. Well, the agreement was that we'd always 50 and 50 and everything.
Yeah.
And he'd go back on his word, and of course the scuffle would start, and he'd give him a smack over the mouth, and on the side of the jaw, the eggs would break, and the only thing he'd do was to spit them out before he started to roar. Well, that's how things used to go, see?
But I understand he got up to even worse tricks with bullfrogs.
Oh, yes, he's a cruel devil. Yes.
And what happened to him, Pa?
Hey?
What happened to him?
Well, they shifted down into town when he was, I suppose about a dozen.
And did you ever see him again?
Yes. He come over to see us when I was living in Birdwood Street. They lived in North Melbourne. He'd come over in about the end of the 20s, I think.
During the Depression?
Yes, there was a big family of them. There was a Harold, Headley, Lenny, Edie and 2 or 3 other girls.
Yeah.
And Big George is a great big man. And his wife was Millie. And he had a terrible voice and a whistle on him. You could hear him whistling a mile away if he wanted the kids or something. And they always had goats and pigs.
In North Melbourne?
No, and
When they were up in Campbell's Creek?
Campbell's Creek.
Yeah.
And people used to always be slinging off them about having goat's milk and all that.
Yeah.
And of course I could go on with old Granny Mitchell. She used to have a shop in Castlemaine, the market of a Saturday. That was market day. All the people used to come in, and all the growers of vegetables and fruit, orchards and that. They had stalls there and they'd sell all their stuff.
Yeah.
In like the market
Yes, I
thing.
understand.
Granny used to have a pie tea room there.
Yeah.
Damn it. And she used to make these pasties home at Campbell Creek, just across the road from where we were. And she also had goats. And she only had a paling shack and a stove in a wood stove. Oh dear.
Well, we might let you...
That's all there was then in those days, you know. And then she, poor old soul, she used to walk over 2 miles with a big basket of pasties and take to a shop and sell them with a cup of tea.
Well, I'm going to let you get your voice back because I think all the talking's giving you the coughs a bit. I'll talk to Nana for a minute. You can get a drink if you want to.
You wanted those?
You took on my toe. No.
You want there's a cough medicine? There's a cough medicine.
No, that's all right.
Okay. Now, Nan, after the war, you moved to Footscray in the soldier settlement area, or returned servicemen's estate, wasn't it, in in Birdwood Street?
Yes.
What was the area like when you first moved to it? What did it look like?
Oh, there were very few houses there when we first went there, Grant. There were only, I suppose there were about 5 houses down the bottom of our street.
Yeah, what year was this?
27.
1927, was it?
February 1927 we moved over there.
And so this was really the first time you'd had your own home, wasn't
That's
it?
the first time, yes.
And was that a big thrill for you to be moving into your own?
It was, because we'd never had not a house, we'd had rooms, you know, half house, that sort of thing,
Yes.
up till then.
And did you have any children at this stage?
Yes, Jean, your mother,
Yes.
and your Uncle Norman.
Right, Uncle Neil hadn't been
Yes.
born at
Yes,
this stage.
yes.
And I suppose shortly after you moved there, you had some bad luck because that's when the Depression started.
Yes, well, we were only there, just a little bit. Yes, well, I suppose we'd only been there just a little over 2 years, probably, when Pa was working at Barnett Glass rubber factory. And of course things got very bad and they were put off there.
What was it like trying to bring up a family in the Depression? What were the main problems? Like, did you actually go without food?
No, we never actually went without food, Grant. Didn't have an abundance, but there again, like as Pa said about people helping his mother out, well, those that were working were very good to those that weren't, and we've fortunately had a couple of good neighbours like that would bring in a parcel of groceries. We never went hungry, but you couldn't say that food was plentiful. And then they brought in the, this, you were on what you call sustenance, and you were given vouchers, a voucher for the butcher, say, 2 and 6pence worth of meat, something like that. Or it might have been 5 shillings for meat, I'm not too sure about that now, and so much for vegetables and so much for the grocer, that sort of thing.
Would you make a lot of things yourself in the Depression?
Oh yes, you had to make a lot. You had to make do as best you could yourself.
So you'd make your own clothes, for example?
Made your own clothes. You never threw anything out. You turned it into something. You'd make. I'd make Norman a pair of overalls out of an old pair of trousers or things like that. I did a lot of that sort of thing, which everybody had to do.
Well, was the Depression a very unhappy time as well as a very hard time?
Well, it was a pretty hard time, Grant. You couldn't say it was a happy time.
Did it affect the children very much? Like, did they realise?
Well, I don't suppose they realised the full extent of it, but it wasn't a very happy time for them because they knew that they didn't have new things. It was usually something that had been made out of something old and perhaps somebody's cast off. I had things given to me. I used to try to, make them look as new as I could. So they did have to go without a lot, but the same as a lot of other people had to. Yet there are others, I suppose, there were others far worse off. Your mother can tell you about some of her schoolmates. The teachers had to give them some of their lunch. They wouldn't have any shoes and socks to wear.
To wear boots to school.
Yes, I'm sorry I can't remember that, but if she says so, that's the case, which I suppose could have been too, because she just couldn't afford new things for them.
Yes, in the 31 Depression, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a tough time too. Prior to that, I was earning big money. I was earning £10 a week.
Earning enough to buy your own home anyway, weren't you?
£10 a week. Before the Depression, I was earning £10 a week.
Oh, no.
I'm just getting a bit ahead of myself. It was after that, wasn't it? When I started Barnett Glasses.
You're only earning between £2 something, £3 something at the Lincoln Mills there.
When I started Barnett Glasses from
because
Essendon.
You were working 12 hours a week there, yes.
And I was averaging £10 a week.
Yes.
12 hours. That was big money. That was before the manager Myers was getting round about $1,000 a year.
Well, actually, I wanted to talk to you about something else, and that was about your football career now.
Yeah, but wait on, I want to talk about the Depression a bit too. I want to talk about the Depression a bit.
Okay, well, go on, you talk about the Depression.
The government allowed us 7 and 6pence a week. That was our handout from them. With a family, of 3 children, husband and wife, 5 people, 7 and 6. That was their allowance.
Did you have to go down and work on the Nepean Highway?
Oh yes, I had to go down there, yes, but I wasn't getting it then. This was before I went down to Dramana on the Ocean Road.
And you're living in tents down there, and you'd work there all week and come home for the weekend, would you?
Yes, not every weekend, but we was getting six shillings a day, I think, or 7 shillings. And if you didn't go down and put in a certain amount of weeks, you had to pay your own railway fare. But if you fulfilled your contract, you got a free ride down there and back.
And what was it like working with, like, did you make a lot of friends there with the blokes you were working with, because you're all in the same boat sort of thing, or?
No, you couldn't make anything in the depth of winter, and you're living in a tent. A gang would come along in the morning and pick you up, and you're out on the road till knock off time. You go back to your tent, you cook your bit of grub out in the open fire, raining like hell, and not much sunshine. And there was 3 of us to a tent. We clubbed together. Of course, we could buy our meat a bit cheaper. The butcher used to come around and rob you every week. And same as the grocer, they come around and rob you. And there was a pommy there. He was one of the 3 of us. Oh, I forget what we was putting in and how much we was putting in, a few shillings a week to live on. Oh, it's too much, the wife is going crook. Anyhow, he went on his own. I don't know how he lived, but he wouldn't put in. The charge was too great, you know, with a bit of meat and vegetables and a few loaves of bread and that. This was a great big Irishman who used to be on the wharf over blokes, and there was 2 camps. There was one about a mile and a half away from the other, and there was a big team of men on that Ocean Road. And of course it was all pick and shovel work, and you never had much in your tummy. You couldn't do too much hard work. And this big Jack used to come along, "Come on here, get going, you buggers," and blow a whistle. And this went on for weeks. And down the bottom camp towards Dramana, the blokes used to leave their tents. You know, there'd be a couple of dozen tents there, and perhaps 50 or 60 men. And nobody there to look after their belongings or anything. And the dogs used to get in, pinch their bit of meat or something like that. And perhaps a thief would get in and take something belonging to them. And anyhow, they protested. And what was his name? George Maxwell. He was a bit of a pug, and he's a little bit upstairs. And he was one of the blokes that went to interview the ganger. And there were surveyors there too. A couple of surveyors with the ganger. And he went to interview. They appointed him to go and interview the ganger and make a protest about leaving one chap home in the camp to look after their things. And anyhow, a fight started, and this George knocked the big ganger, and of course they brought up the priests from Dramana, and they was going to arrest George and all this, and going to sack him. So anyhow, that's only one little story. He was a different ganger after that, but that blew over. And then I think I was there over a month or 6 weeks. I think I only come home once. We come home in an old the government must have hired an old transport on the road. But I went to try and get a blanket to take down, but I couldn't get one. Well, that's how we was treated there. And if you didn't take that job on when it was offered to you, you just wiped off the sasso. They wouldn't recognise you, see.
Black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master and 1 for the dame, and 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. What about Twinkle Twinkle, Elizabeth? Twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high. What one?
I want bananas in the pajamas
are coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas are chasing teddy bears. Bananas in pajamas are coming down in pairs. But on Tuesday
they like to catch them on my way.
Who do you like to catch, Chris, coming down the stairs?
Bears.
And what about little girls?
Yes, I like catching them again for my dinner.
Do you?
Yep.
What little girls do you like the best?
I like tiny weeny little girls.
Oh, tiny weeny little girls, do
Yeah,
you?
I like bigger girls.
Bigger girls. Who are your favourite girls at playgroup?
Well, I catch Rachel and who else?
What about Melanie?
Yes, I'll catch Rainy for my dinner.
And Michelle?
Yep. And she's very yummy.
Is she very yummy?
Yes.
And who else do you play with?
There's a tinderate.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't really use them up.
And who do you go to bed with every night?
Tell me. Claire.
Tell the camera.
I got bed with Claire.
Tell what's happened to Claire the last few nights. Where's Claire been?
Tell me.
She's been minding the car in the garage.
She's been minding the car in the garage, Grandma.
Has she? Why has she had to mind the car in the garage?
Tell me.
Because it broke down. And you went for a ride in a tow truck. Yes.
Can everyone see?
Oh, I think everyone can see. And here's Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what does the bar lamb say? What does the bar lamb say? Aren't you going to talk? What's this? What's this? What is it? No, aren't you going to talk?
Oh, there's it.
Oh, that's Elizabeth's basket.
Can you get the wheel out of it?
Yes, in a moment I can. Elizabeth, where's your nose? Where's Mummy's nose?
No.
Good girl. Where's Mummy's eye?
I.
Where's Mummy's ear? Where's Mummy's ear?
No.
That's nose. Where's ear? Where's ear?
No.
Nose. Where's Mummy's mouth? Where's Mummy's mouth?
Papa.
You sing Bar Bar Black Sheep. Tell Daddy. Where's Daddy? You give Daddy a wave.
And showing the
Give
field.
Daddy a big wave. To Daddy.
And
To
showing
Daddy.
the big.
And blow Daddy a big, big kiss. Oh.
Can it be in
Did
it?
you do a little walk? Elizabeth can't walk yet. Not very well. She's not going?
Mommy, da.
Oh, that's beautiful. Just beautiful. Now, pram. Right, Mum? Oh, good girl. Another ball. You show Daddy the ball. You show Daddy the ball. Oh, good throw. Here you are. More? Oh, very good. Oh, the ball's gone in the pram. Good throw. Very good. Very good. Where's Daddy?
Daddy.
Can you do a big blow for Daddy?
No.
No. No. Uppy. You walk to Mum. Come on. Oh, good. Come on. Here you are. Oh, very good. Where's the ball gone now? Where's the pram with the dolly? Mind your head. Elizabeth, where are you? Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Where are you? I see. I see. I see. I see. Up you go. Up. Look. Oh, a big ball. Off you go. It's a hard ball to throw, isn't it? Here you are. Got a kiss for Dolly? And a cuddle for Dolly? Oh, poor Dolly. Where's Dolly gone? Where's the Dolly? Another ball. Another ball. Yes. You get that ball. Could you hold two balls? One ball for Dolly. Put the balls in the pram. Put the balls in the pram. Show Daddy your ball. It's a very silly ball, isn't it? We'll put it in the pram. You can give the pram a push. Push the pram. You right? What's up there?
Like a story? Come on then. Come on, we'll have this story. Yeah. Walking, are you? Oh, that's the girl. You have this one? What's that? Bunny rabbit. How does the bunny rabbit go? What does the bunny rabbit do? Hoppity. Hoppity. Oh, the bar lamb. Bar. Apple. Mmm. Bag. No, you don't need bag. Camera. Dagger. That's a silly word to put in for little girls, isn't it? Fan. Ah! There's a car. The car is in the garage. Oh! Hammer. Hammer. Jam. Oh, give that. Bar lamb. Bar. Bar. One page at a time. Magnet, we won't talk about that. Parachute, we won't talk about that. What's that? How's the bunny rabbit go? Hoppity. Hoppity, 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 hoppity. Saddle. And a tank. Mummy's apron. Aren't those flowers pretty? Oh, you don't eat those. Bacon. Cage. There's someone's face. Where are the eyes? Where are the eyes? Ah, good. Where's the mouth? That's your mouth, isn't it? And the leg. Oh, horsey. What does a horsey say? It's a horse. What does a horsey say? Nay, doesn't he? And some pastry, Mummy's been cooking. And a radio. And a big safe. And a table. That's the end of that story. Did you like that one?
No, what?
That'll do.
Monday the 7th of November, Christopher's 4 years old and Elizabeth's 2 years old.
No.
Yes.
No.
Elizabeth's going to sing Ba Ba Black Sheep.
Ba ba black sheep do that, yeah. Yes, do that. Yes, sir, 3 bags for
One for the master, one for the dame, one for the who lives down the
rockin' baby, we're on the dances, we're on the dances, on the CB's on balance, and we're gonna be the star.
Once upon a time,
There was 3 bears.
and they lived in a little house in the middle of
The cottage.
the forest. And one day, while their porridge was cooling, they decided that they would go for a walk in the woods. While they were out, a little girl came skipping through the forest. She had golden hair, and her name was
Goldilocks.
When she came to the cottage, she said to herself, "I wonder who lives there." So she knocked on the door,
Bang, bang, bang.
but there was no answer.
There's no
So
answer.
she pushed the door, and the door opened, and she went in.
Oh, shh.
When she got inside, she saw 3 chairs.
Yes.
So she went and sat in the great big chair, but it was too hard.
No.
So she went and sat in the middle-sized chair, but it was too soft. So then she went and sat in the little baby chair, and it was just right, but it fell to pieces.
Fell to pieces.
Next, Goldilocks went into the kitchen, and there on the table were 3 bowls of porridge set out to cool.
Yes.
Goldilocks tasted the big bowl, but it was too.
Hot.
Then she tried the middle-sized bowl, but it was too.
Cold.
And then she tried the little weeny baby bowl, and it was just.
Right, and the chair fell to pieces.
No, she ate the porridge all up. Now Goldilocks was feeling rather tired, so she thought to herself, "I'll go upstairs and have a look at the bedrooms." Up the stairs she went. There were 3 beds. Goldilocks lay down on the great big bed, but it was too hard. Then she lay down on the middle-sized bed, and it was.
Too soft.
And then she lay down on the little weeny baby bed.
And when she.
Went to sleep.
Yes.
The 3 bears came home.
Fun,
"Somebody's been sitting in my chair," said Daddy Bear. Somebody's been sitting in my chair, said Mummy Bear. Somebody's been sitting in my chair and broken it to pieces, said Baby Bear. Then they went into the kitchen. Somebody's been eating my porridge, said Daddy Bear.
And someone's been eating my porridge.
Somebody's been eating my porridge, said Mummy Bear.
Yes.
Somebody's been eating my porridge, said Baby Bear. And
And they eaten it all up.
Then the three bears went upstairs. Somebody's been sleeping in my bed, said Father Bear. Somebody's been
Sleeping in my bed, Mama said.
Somebody's been sleeping in my bed and they're still here, said Baby Bear. And she got such a fright she jumped up and ran away, and she never ever went back to that cottage
Again.
No. Try. Have a spell, Mummy, and I'll just try it. That's still recording. You've got to press stop.
1, 2, 3.
Good girl.
Yes, Well, the important answer is you had to slam the net on them.
And what do you do if the butterflies are too high to catch? What do you need?
You need a taller net. If you don't have one, you have to just wait till the same type of pretty butterfly is down lower.
And what's your favourite type of butterfly? What colour?
Mostly all colours.
Is there room for Elizabeth on the chair too?
Yes.
And Chris, can you count to 10?
1, 2, 10. Mummy.
Can Elizabeth have a go at the microphone now, please?
Yes.
Elizabeth, can you sing us
Thank you.
Sheep?
Let's sing song.
All right.
No.
Okay. Can you did it at the circus? Like the pretty lady? Big jump. Chris, can you dance?
Yeah.
Can you put on your Captain Hook play for us? It's just there while Mummy works the camera. Oh, good. Bring him over to Elizabeth so we can come over here and tell us about it. And you just caught that one, I saw you. Is that a good colour?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was white too and brown.
And Bomber's very interested in butterflies too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you like that butterfly, Elizabeth?
Yeah, grey.
Well, we'll put him down there while the show's on. Now, will you do Peter Pan for us and Captain Hook?
If you can tell what I do, when I say fruit.
Breathing in the microphone.
Yes,
The one where you go like this?
Let's wash. Let me wash. Yes, mother. Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
It says
And
little
the-
girl.
That's the doggy. And she had a doggy. And the important answer is that she was very interested in butterflies. And she always caught some when she saw them. So the little doggy helped her sometimes. He was very interested in butterflies too. So, for example, we're showing you it a grown-up person helping. But you see a policeman first.